Alrighty, guys, it is I-Free700. We are back. This time with some Star Wars lore. Who the fuck is Sharad Hett? Now, you can pronounce this probably a few ways. Sharad Hett or Sharad Hett. I'm probably just going to stick with just the Sharad Hett because I just think it sounds better. Sharad. Now, Asherad Hett, you may be looking at the pictures already and going, whoa, is that a Tusken Raider Jedi? And yeah, absolutely it is. In fact, he's one of my favorite Jedi, I think, period. Just downright, hands down, period. He's just awesome as fuck. I love him. So let's talk about why it is I like him so much. So we start off on Tatooine, where all Tusken Raiders are born, raised, bled, and die. Here on Tatooine, there is a Tusken warlord, pretty much, by the name of Sharad Hett. Not Sharad Hett, just Sharad Hett. And on this, we immediately start with the battle with the Krayt Dragon, which is ironic, but we're going to cover why that's ironic later on. Here we see Ki-Adi-Mundi, yes, the Ki-Adi-Mundi, fighting against the Krayt Dragon after finding a group of Tusken Raiders. And these Tusken Raiders, as I said, are being led by Sharad Hett. Now, Sharad Hett explains to Ki-Adi-Mundi who he is. And Ki-Adi-Mundi goes, yes, you're who I've been searching for. A Jedi of great renown, a Jedi master of great success. You're exactly who I was sent to search for. But why are you fighting this Krayt Dragon with all these Tuskens? And it comes to show a young Tusken charges out with a lightsaber, a red lightsaber, and a gaffi stick in the other hand. And he just knocks down the Krayt Dragon, impaling both of its eyes. And here it comes out why they're fighting the Krayt Dragon. Now, Ki-Adi-Mundi stumbled upon the dragon, but the Tusken Raiders were searching for it, as this is a way of adulthood, a way of passage, to be accepted into the tribe as a full-fledged adult. And it shows too their Tusken beliefs, like anyone with two hands holds a gaffi stick, and by holding a gaffi stick, you are a Tusken. If you can't hold a gaffi stick, you're not a Tusken. So it's this whole looping ideology behind the symbolism of the weapon. But Sharad Hett explains to Ki-Adi-Mundi that his tribe, the Junland Tusken tribe, is fighting against cruelty. They're fighting against these people who are poisoning Tusken children toys. They're leaving poisoned food out for Tusken Raiders to nibble on. They use illegal guns to wipe out Tusken villages. And who is he fighting, you may ask? He's fighting against villagers, farmers. He even destroyed the city of Anchorhead because it turns out a lot of these illegal weapons and a lot of this poison and all this nasty diabolical shit is coming from mostly Anchorhead. But you may be wondering, well, Anchorhead may be the focal point, but where's it all coming from? Well, it's all coming from the Hutts on Tatooine. Jabba the Hutt has been selling illegal weapons to the farmers to defend themselves. But other Hutts have been more or less profiting off of Jabba's success. Now, they view Tatooine as something that they can control, as all of its crime and all of its more or less valuable resources are at their disposal once the Tusken Raiders are annihilated. Jabba, on the other hand, is profiting just fine leaving the Tusken Raiders alive. And it becomes this interesting thing where Sharad Hett, the Tusken warlord who was once a Jedi, he thinks that Jabba the Hutt himself is responsible, but it turns out it's not that simple. Instead, the other Hutts are actually planning to overthrow Jabba once all the Tusken Raiders have been wiped out, because once they're all wiped out, Jabba will basically have no money income from his illegal weapons, because now no one else really needs them except for his enemies. And by then, his enemies would have had all the weapons and all the glory from killing the Tuskens, and they could easily wipe him out and then take over his business. Well, either way, Ki-Adi-Mundi tells Sharad Hett that, one, he's amazed that Sharad Hett is a strong Jedi warrior, and he asks who the mother was. And Sharad Hett tells him it was another Jedi woman. This woman would be named Kashyyyk Head. Hett. And she was also a Jedi, much like him, and they both agreed about something. And this is the interesting thing about Sharad Hett, is that Sharad tells Coyote-Mundi why he left the Jedi Order. He exiled himself out of the Jedi Order because when he went through his campaigns and his victories, everyone was just applauding him as a great warrior, as a great master. And when he was originally taken, he was promised to keep in contact with his family by Hett Cole. Hett Cole was his original master. But as time went on, he decided, you know what? All these battles, all these victories, they're tempting me to the dark side, and I don't think I can pull myself away from it. All this fame, all this glory, all these Jedi younglings looking up to become a great warrior like me, I'm very tempted to join the dark side in a pursuit of power. So he tells Hett Cole, I'm sorry, but I can't keep doing this. I'm going to go reunite with my family on their homeworld. Hett Cole understands him and just lets him go. But the thing is that the moment he arrives to his homeworld, he realizes it just got raided and just completely destroyed by its own little war that it was having. Feeling devastated at the loss of his family that he's been keeping contact with, he decides to just go out into the far systems, the outer rim, and just lose himself to the wild. This is where he just happened to crash upon Tatooine. Now, living as a savage, he was taken in by the Tusken Raiders, not as a, oh, you poor soul. No, they instead enslaved him. And the thing is that Sharad Hett doesn't feel ill will towards the Tuskens for enslaving him, because he knows that life on Tatooine is harsh. And in order to survive that harshness, you must become as harsh as the desert wind itself. So he adopted into their culture. He became one with their ways and saw the wisdom and beauty and the value of their culture and seeing the beauty in the desert itself. And this is where Sharad Hett, his son, was born. And Sharad Hett sees it through a Tusken lens. To him, he is Tusken, through and throughout. But he doesn't realize that his father is not a Tusken. He's actually just a human guy who was adopted into the tribe. Because you see, Tuskens don't really talk about these things. Either way, Coyote-Mundi tries to tell him, do you not see why it is that this is bad? That you're killing villagers left and right? That you are not, maybe becoming too evil already? That you may be already in the dark side? To which Sharad Hett tells him, actually, by taking over the Junlin Tusken Raider tribe, I've actually prevented death. I've prevented massacre. Because the Tuskens are easy to rile up in anger. And if they were not culled by my leadership, by my Jedi training, they would have done a huge massacre on the farmers, even those undeserving. It is just then that a huge army of criminals is coming in to attack the tribe. Sharad Hett is with Coyote-Mundi, and they both get blown off of their bantha. Sharad Hett is very distracted and wounded by his bantha being killed, because the bantha is very symbolic in Tusken culture. But Sharad Hett, his father, gets attacked and killed by Aurra Sing. Now, Aurra Sing is a bounty hunter who was once a Jedi, but she left the Order and she became a Jedi killer. She uses her lightsaber to just cut him down. But Sharad Hett comes in to save his father, and then he barely pushes her off, and she flees away. But with his final breath, Sharad Hett tells his son, Sharad Hett, that he is very proud of him, that he had something that no other Jedi could really say they've had, which is the privilege to train his son in the ways of the Jedi. And then he asks his son what he will do. And Coyote-Mundi also asks Sharad Hett, what will you do now? Now that your tribe has been destroyed, your father's dead, what are you going to do? Are you going to join another Tusken tribe? To which he says, no. The only clan I have left is the Jedi, so I shall be a Jedi. It's in this that we actually see him being trained and tested by other Jedi. And he recites the Jedi code perfectly. He actually uses it during a fighting match, a spar between the Dark Woman and him. And this is actually pretty interesting because there's nothing that stokes that Tusken rage, that tribal primitivism that you would normally see from a Tusken Raider. No matter what words she uses, no matter how hard she hits him, she doesn't seem to be able to get him to bring out that rage, that inner evil that a lot of Tusken Raiders seem to be associated with. This proves to everyone in the Jedi Council that he is fit to be a Padawan. There's actually a good moment here too where Ashad Hett is sitting on a balcony in Coruscant and he's just like, the air smells, it's cold, I don't understand the city, I feel on edge. And with him is a little boy. And that little boy is Anakin Skywalker. And Anakin Skywalker says, I thought Tuskens were supposed to be big, mean, and ugly, but you're nice. And the two laments to each other about how much they miss Tatooine. Now, Ashad Hett misses the sand. He misses the desert. Anakin doesn't really care for the sand. He gets annoyed by it. But later on, Ashad Hett and his master, Coyote-Mundi, are told to hunt down Aurra Sing with the Jedi Master Adi Gallia. Now, when they find Aurra Sing, it turns out Aurra Sing was trying to hunt the Dark Woman. Now, the Dark Woman later reveals herself to be Coyote-Mundi's own master, and she has been more or less notorious in the Jedi Order because her training methods are so barbaric, so tough, that they're almost mixed up for her Sith teachings, honestly. And the Jedi Council is almost disturbed by her because she literally teleports around the world. She phases through walls. She's capable of crazy powers that just seems unnatural. But no, she's a Jedi through and through. It's just her training is meant for more difficult people. So people who are having a difficult time with the Jedi teachings mixed with their own home beliefs, their own home traditions, they usually get assigned to her, the Dark Woman. Now, the reason why she's named the Dark Woman is because she believes that the only way to truly devote yourself to the Force is to give up everything, including one's name. So that's why they call her the Dark Woman. She doesn't really call herself that at all. Now, with Ashad Hett and Coyote-Mundi and Adi Gallia, they go to his planet. They crash land on the planet, really is a more appropriate term. And Ashad Hett earlier told the council, he told them absolutely that I am not hunting Aurra Sing because she killed my father. I am hunting her because she is a murderer. I am doing this for justice, not for revenge. Well, despite searching in his heart and despite really believing that about himself, the moment that he was left alone on a ship and Aurra Sing comes in to attack him, he gives in to the rage. He gives in to what he calls the darkness. And by beating her, he pleads to Coyote-Mundi, I cannot be a Padawan anymore. I'm going to become an exile. I'm going to go join my people on Tatooine. To which Coyote-Mundi says, are you sure? You did okay. You did fine. But I do sense there's some sort of darkness inside you. And this is where the Dark Woman comes in and says, I sense it too. But in order to be a living being, you have to accept that there's a darkness inside you. There's a darkness inside all of us. So she offers to be his master, and he accepts. Coyote-Mundi trains his body, trains him in the forms and the ways of the world, whereas the Dark Woman trains his mind, how to resist temptations, how to resist everything, no matter what dangers are thrown at him. No matter what losses he suffers, he never gives in to rage. Later on, we see Ashad Hett has become a Jedi Master. Now, it's really interesting to know that he's taken up his own apprentice. And the two are noted as kind of like kindred spirits because they both love their deserts. They love their homeworlds. Now, they meet into Anakin. And Anakin's a little different. You see, Anakin, by this point, has revealed that, well, he hasn't revealed it yet, but he talks about Ashad Hett as being a bit of a primitive, being a bit tribal, And Assad Hett could tell that there's something wrong with Anakin. There's a darkness inside him just waiting to come out. And what no one knows yet is that Anakin just massacred that village of Tusken people, killing the women, children, everybody. Basically Star Wars Episode 2. Now, Assad Hett fights kind of tribal, kind of primitive, where he charges in ahead of the clone troopers and just starts kind of butchering the enemy droids. And this is something that Anakin notes is just true to his nature, that he's a barbarian, that he's just filth, essentially, that he's uncivilized. Now, later during a skirmish where the three of them are together and stuck together, Assad Hett's Padawan dies, and Anakin becomes extremely distraught. Now, this is where the two of them that were so similar, such kindred spirits, Anakin and Assad Hett, starts to fracture and break. Assad Hett and Anakin are both guardians by nature. They always want to guard people. They always want to protect people. They always want to put them under their wing, under their care. But Assad Hett has shown and learned from his master, the Dark Woman, that it's okay to let go. That it's okay to let people die. Death is a part of the Force. Anakin, on the other hand, just can't accept it. He cannot come to grips with it. And this is where the two have a huge verbal disagreement. And here's where Anakin tells him the truth, that he murdered those Tuskens, and that every time he sees Assad Hett, he sees the same vileness that he saw in the people who killed his own mother. This is where Assad Hett does something that he's never done before. He takes off his mask and shows Anakin that he is human underneath that mask. And from here on out, Assad Hett forgoes the mask. He forgoes it entirely because he wishes to show people he is not what Anakin perceives him to be, this vile, evil being. Instead, he's not a warrior, but a Jedi Master, an enlightened savage, if you would, a noble spirit. This is something, of course, Anakin is kind of taken aback by, but he still harbors some hatred for him in the sense that Assad Hett, despite shedding the Tusken mask, he still believes the Tuskens are decent people, that they're honorable, that they're nice. But Anakin just can't come to grips with that. He sees the harshness of their village, just like Assad Hett does. But instead of seeing the nobility of it, he sees the savagery. And Assad Hett lets Anakin go away, but he warns Anakin, you really should come to Yoda and tell him about what you've done. Because this darkness is going to eat you up inside. The fact that you murdered those people of Tuskens. Despite how much you may hate them and despite how much they may have wronged you, if you don't resolve this, you will fall to the dark side. And Anakin, of course, just brushes him off like, who's this savage to tell me that? Are you serious? Of all people, this savage, this brutal primitive is going to tell me this? Yeah. Not exactly a nice way to depart one another. Later on, the Jedi Purge happens. Now, I know I'm kind of time skipping here, but that's only because this video is already almost 20 minutes long, and there's a lot to talk about Assad Hett. And I just kind of want to wrap it up right now. So later on, the Jedi Purge happens, and Assad Hett is devastated. He doesn't know what to do, doesn't know where to go. The Galactic Empire just wiped out all of his friends. Coyote Mundi's dead. Eth Cole, dead. Dark Woman, missing. He assumes is dead. By this point, he just assumes he's all alone. So what does he do? He returns to the sands. He goes back to Tatooine. Now, originally he was a Jedi Master. Now he decides to don on the Tusken war gear again, but this time he changes the colors of his lightsabers. Now, originally his lightsabers were red. That's the way him and his father designed them. But then when he became a Jedi Master, he turned them green, an emerald color. Now that he's a Tusken Raider again, he went back to red. Now, as a Tusken Raider, he creates his own warband, his own little group that he decides to attack the Empire with. But oddly enough, despite saying that he's out to fight against the Empire, he doesn't seem to even attack any Empire bases. Instead, he just attacks farmers, moisture farmers, and just keeps attacking them over and over again, killing innocent families left and right. Much like his father, but skewed. This time, the moisture farmers aren't poisoning the Tuskens. This time, they aren't attacking the Tuskens. This time, The Tuskens are attacking them, and it's being led by a Hett. Later on, though, he comes across the Lars homestead. Yikes. You see, coming across the Skywalker homestead is not a good idea. Obi-Wan catches him. Now, Obi-Wan tells the Hett, "You are an honorable Jedi Master, very wise. You're a great warrior, too. Why are you here? Why are you going down this path?" And the Hett tells him, "Look at what the Empire's done to us. Like, are you serious? Right now, we need to assemble the Jedi. We need to assemble any warrior we can who is willing to fight against the Empire. It's the only way we're going to make things right." And Obi-Wan listens to him and goes, "You're wrong. You've let your hatred and loss blind you to what it is your actions are doing right now. Look at what you've done. You have not taken an honorable course like your father did. You're instead killing villagers out of vengeance, even though they've never drawn any blood against you." To this, Hett simply disagrees with him and says, "We're at a disagreement. But there is one way we can solve this, upon the honor of my father, which is combat." Now, the two duel, and it's a very intense duel. But Obi-Wan gets the upper hand and slashes off a Hett's arm, and then also uses his free hand and pulls the Hett's mask off. And with that, all of his Tusken warriors watching, they walk away. They walk away from a Hett. They walk away from Obi-Wan. They never come back to that homestead. Now you may wonder, why is this? And Obi-Wan himself even asks, I wonder why they are leaving. And as Hett tells you, now that he is one-handed, he cannot hold a gaffi stick. Now that he has been demasked in front of everyone, that is the greatest dishonor you could do to a Tusken. He is now considered worse than dead. He is nothing. To which Obi-Wan tells him, "I will not kill you, despite the fact that you want me to. I will not kill you because the memory of your father and the memory I have of you as Hett, you are a great honorable Jedi. But I am exiling you from this planet. Never come back." And it's upon which a Hett leaves. He does get a cybernetic arm later on in his life and becomes a bit of a mercenary, until one day he's captured by the Yuzong Vong. And later he's experimented on. And here we see that the Yuzong Vong scouts are pretty much just experimenting on him just to see what it is Force-sensitive people are capable of doing and what are they able to suffer with. But inadvertently, they're also experimenting on him. And they end up creating something far worse. For you see, a Hett basically died on that desert that day when Obi-Wan took off his mask and took out his arm. When he was captured by the Yuzong Vong, out emerged the legendary figure known as Darth Krayt. As I said earlier, this story began with a Krayt dragon, only for it to end with Darth Krayt himself. The most notorious and probably the most strongest Sith Lord that's ever existed. Besides that, has been Free 700. I am out. I'm hoping to do a second one where we talk about Darth Krayt himself, and we talk about his philosophy in life and what he achieved. I hope to keep it a lot shorter than this, but a Hett really needed some. It really needed some buffering. It needed a lot of in-depth study. I hope it wasn't too confusing between his father and him, Sharad Hett and Asharad Hett. Very confusing considering their name is literally divided by just one syllable, which is the A. Besides that, this has been Free 700. Tell me down below what you guys think.